Hey, Madam Clerk, are we ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is awesome to be here at Sutter High School with all the students. Welcome to our meeting for the Sutter County Board of Supervisors. This is a special meeting of the Board of Supervisors, and we're very proud to be here joining you today. I have a couple of statements I want to read before we begin the meeting. The first is the Sutter County Board of Supervisors meetings will be open to the public subject to social distancing requirements. Those that wish to attend the board meetings are encouraged to wear a face coverings as recommended by the California Department of Public Health. And then we have a procedure for public participation. Members of the public will be allowed to address the board with respect to the items listed on the agenda only. The law requires that business not appearing on the agenda may not be discussed at a special meeting. If you wish to speak on any item appearing on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card noting the number on the agenda of the item about which you wish to speak and present it to the board clerk. When the matter is announced, please approach the speaker's lectern after being recognized by the chairman. So at this point, I'd ask for the Madam Clerk to give us a roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Here.
Supervisor Flores?
Present.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Here.
Supervisor Baines?
Present.
Supervisor Conant?
Present.
Okay, and does this work? If I can have everyone please rise. How's this work? Is it on? Test. Nice at the bottom.
Test. Test.
Button on the.
It's on, it's green.
It's good. Okay, here we go. We got it. All right, thank you. We're going to begin now with an invocation by John Johnson. This is Supervisor Ziegenmeyer's father-in-law. John?
Good morning. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the blessings you provide for us. Thank you for every seat that has been filled here today. For each mind and heart that fills the presence of this room, we thank you. Father, bless this meeting today. Bless all those present, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterwards. Please ready us to make every moment count. We thank you, Lord, for hearing our prayers. All this we ask in your glorious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And if I could have Tyler Hancock come to the podium. Tyler is the all-North section, center for the football team, and I've heard an all-around great guy, and he's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join Tyler.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody may be seated. At this point, I'm going to ask for County Council or the CAO to make a motion, or to present this motion, sorry.
Madam Clerk, would you like to introduce this?
Absolutely. This motion is to amend the agenda to add an appearance item. Approval of lease agreement for property located at 604 B Street, number A, Yuba City, California, beginning February 1st, 2022 on a month-to-month basis for monthly rent of $1,800, not to exceed $9,000 for fiscal year 2021 to 22, and not to exceed $21,600 for fiscal year 2022-23, and authorization for the Sutter County Board of Supervisors Chair to sign the agreement.
So for this item to be added to the agenda, the board would need to vote to add it, and then if approved, we will cover it during the appearance items.
Okay, thank you. The chairman would entertain a motion for approval.
Through the chair, move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Conant, a second by Supervisor McKelly. We'll ask for all those in favor.
Aye. 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 Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries. We have no abstentions or opposition. Therefore, the motion carries. Okay, we'll move on now. We have a special presentation before we move on to the next agenda item. And before I start this presentation item, though, I do want to ask or thank Bob Miller and Brian Cooper. Where are you guys? Wave. Right there. Everybody give them a round of applause for setting up things for today. It's no easy task to have all this set up and moved from our board headquarters, I guess, to be here. So it's great to be here. And thank you again. Okay, with that, we have a special presentation we're going to do first today, and it's basically a recap of last year and all of the work that was done. I watched or helped produce this with Chuck Smith, who put the video together, and it's just amazing what the board does in a whole year, or in 1 year. So we're going to do the presentation of that, and then after that, we're going to have the nomination for the new chairman. Okay, so. The year 2021 began with 2 new members of the Sutter County Board of Supervisors, Nick McKelly of the 1st District and Carm Baines of the 4th District. Economic development and public safety played key roles in more than 520 decisions made on the agenda items by members of the board in 2021. Growth in Sutter County is directed toward the existing cities. In 2021, the Board of Supervisors completed tax exchange negotiations with the City of Yuba City that will allow for annexation of land south of Bogue Road and development of approximately 750 acres of residential, commercial, and park space envisioned in the Bogue Stewart Master Plan. I would like to especially thank Yuba City Mayor Mark Boomgarden and Sutter County Supervisor Matt Conant for working with me on this negotiation effort. For well over a decade, our planning department has been working on the Sutter Point Specific Plan, which provides the development framework for a 7,500-acre community in South Sutter County near an international airport and the intersection of 2 interstate highways. We made great progress in 2021. The first phase, approved by the Board of Supervisors, Lakeside Village, is expected to break ground this year. In an effort to improve safe access to public space, Sutter County is working with the Sutter County Resource Conservation District on a proposal to develop a 200-acre park along the west bank of the Feather River, from the 10th Street Bridge to the south of Shanghai Bend. The project got a big boost in 2021 when the Conservation District secured a planning grant from the National Park Service. A survey of residents showed support for the parkway, which would include trails and picnic tables and river access. Residents also favored a continued focus on reducing the number of people camping illegally along the river. 15 years ago, Sutter County joined with Butte County, the cities of Yuba City, Live Oak, Biggs, and Gridley, and levy districts 1 and 9 to form the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency to implement a levee rehabilitation program on the west bank of the Feather River. This year, Sebufka officially notified its member agencies it had achieved a 200-year level of flood protection along a 44 miles of levee from south of Star Bend in Sutter County to the Thermalito Afterbay in Butte County, reducing the risk of flooding, reducing the cost of flood insurance, and allowing for the continued growth in our urban areas. Also this year, 2 people who were very instrumental in the advocacy of flood risk reduction in our community, Sally Serger and Francis Silva, passed away. Sebufka renamed its 44-mile levee project in honor of Francis Silva, who was involved in flood fighting for 8 decades.
A bit about Star Bend here. Barbara already told you that I sandbagged here in 1938, 1942, 1955, 1964, 86, and 97, and every year it got worse.
The Board of Supervisors maintained strong support of the Sutter County Sheriff's Office and Sutter County Fire. The board approved funding for new security fencing at the Sheriff's Department and began good faith negotiations with the sworn officers' representatives with an eye toward improving pay and working conditions. The board reduced the burden of property owners in and around the community of Sutter by forgiving the remainder of a construction loan on the Sutter Fire Station. Implementing a recommendation from the Sutter County Grand Jury, the board also adopted an ordinance allowing Sutter County Fire to recoup the costs of emergency responses from insurance companies of at-fault drivers. In addition to dealing with stubborn series of vegetation fires in the river bottoms, Sutter County firefighters responded heroically as part of mutual aid strike teams to fight in some of the worst wildfires in the state's history. Mutual aid is a vital part of every sheriff's and fire department's operations. and first responders from Sutter County and surrounding agencies were kept busy throughout the long fire season. Recent changes in state and federal law allow for the cultivation of industrial hemp. Because it looks and smells like marijuana, however, where industrial hemp can be grown in the county is now regulated by an ordinance adopted by the Board of Supervisors in April of 2021. The Board of Supervisors updated the county's housing element, outlining the goals and policies to provide an adequate supply of new housing to meet the needs of present and future Sutter County residents through 2029, including the development of much-needed affordable housing. Early in 2021, board members participated in a groundbreaking ceremony for a new juvenile hall facility that will be shared by Sutter, Yuba, and Colusa counties, and then a ribbon-cutting ceremony for New Haven, a 40-unit supportive services housing project serving the chronically homeless with mental health and other issues. Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health Services provides oversight of case management at this new facility. Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health Services doubled its outpatient care capacity for adults who meet criteria for special mental health services. And a new program provides mobile outreach capability to clients who fail to show for services after multiple contacts with psychiatric services, law enforcement, other community services, and are in need of behavioral health intervention. Behavioral Health continued to offer free mental health first aid training to anyone in the community. Mental health issues are just one contributing factor to the area's homeless situation. A month-long homelessness awareness campaign in November discussed a multitude of reasons why people become homeless. Sutter County's award-winning sheltering program has kept hundreds out of the weather and helped find permanent homes for almost 100 individuals since it opened in late 2019. However, the homeless population throughout California continues to grow, despite earnest efforts to mitigate the problem at the local level. The Public Health Department continued its efforts to educate the public about the importance of vaccines and vaccine boosters to protect from hospitalization and death as a result of COVID-19. The Board of Supervisors encourages individuals to get vaccinated. However, the board opposes vaccine mandates. Health and Human Services, Employment and Eligibility Division completed a migration from one of 3 old case management systems used throughout the state to a single new system called CalSAWS, which will be used by 58 counties to determine eligibility for CalFresh, for Medi-Cal, foster care, refugee assistance, county medical services, and general assistance. In 2021, Sutter County contracted with an evacuation management software firm to pre-identify evacuation zones and make evacuations more manageable in the future. Be on the lookout for information about Zone Haven in coming months. Hampered by fluctuating COVID-19 restrictions, both the County Museum and the County Library continued to provide services to the local community. Sutter County hired a new museum director and curator, Molly Bloom, in December. The museum and library now share the services of a fundraising position. In 2021, Sandy Capel celebrated 50 years as an employee with the County Library. She started in September of 1971, retiring from a full-time position several years ago, but coming back as a part-time employee. The library's renovation did not get completed in 2021 due to supply chain and other issues, but is expected to be completed soon. In 2021, 21 employees completed the National Association of Counties High Performance Leadership Academy and received a County Master Certificate in High Performance Leadership from CSAC Institute for Excellence. This is directly related to the board's goal for leadership development among the existing workforce. Farm Advisors office staff and academics reached 15,604 residents of Sutter and Yuba counties with its outreach and education events in agriculture, youth education, gardening, and nutrition. The Sutter County Agricultural Commissioner issued a report in 2021 about the previous year's $568 million of agricultural production in our county. Every year, the crops raised and harvested in Sutter County are shipped to more than 80 countries and have a local economic impact of more than $1 billion. And it was a really busy year for the elections department. Not only did they have to prepare the county for special election regarding the question of recalling California's governor, but they had to do it while simultaneously conducting a series of workshops and study sessions to prepare new boundaries of Sutter County supervisor districts. a process that occurs every 10 years to ensure a fair balance of representation of our constituents. And, you know, the reality is none of this could have happened without some great people behind it to make it work out. And there's some, you know, despite COVID-19, there were just some incredible things accomplished that this board is very proud of, and the county as a whole is very proud of, and you should be too as citizens of the county. So I want to take a moment and just thank people involved, pretty much everybody who was involved for the year, but especially I want to thank the department heads for all the work that you guys did throughout the year. So many different challenges, but fantastic job. So let's give them a round of applause, department heads as well. Just a huge thank you to our 1,000 employees of the county for all the work that they do and their dedication, and I mean, coming to work every day, and especially through this COVID-19 fiasco, it's been an incredible effort on everyone's part. So I'd like to give them a round of applause as well for such a great job that they've done. I want to give a special shout out to the previous mayor of Yuba City, who I worked really closely with, along with Supervisor Tenant, in the negotiations for a tax agreement for the city of Yuba City. It's something that hadn't been done for a really long time, and I think we created a win-win situation. And when you do that, it's just a good feeling altogether, and it'll be good for the long term for Sutter County. So let's give them a round of applause for that work they did. At this point, too, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my fellow board members for all of the work they do. You're looking at a seriously dedicated group of people, and the public service that they provide is incredible. Between the 5 people here, they're involved in 45 different committees, maybe more now with the county, but around 45 committees. Those committees meet all the time. They have a workload that's unbelievable, along with every one of them having a full-time position of their own or a full-time business. So just the effort that you gentlemen put in, I want to tell you I'm really proud to serve with you on the board, and you're just second to none. Solid all the way around, and 3 of them happen to be Sutter High School graduates, so we got to give them that. So if we can give them a huge round of applause, I'd really appreciate it. And Madam Clerk, can you help me pass out these gifts? That I have a couple of small tokens for board members here.
Thank you. Ooh.
Okay, if we can give them another round of applause. I'm going to have just one more final thank you before I turn over the gavel, and that's to Mr. Steve Smith. Steve, can you come up here for a moment? I just want to tell you that it's been awesome working with you this past year, pretty incredible. This guy is up all night, every morning. We text him, all 5 of us. There's no rules. Sunday, midnight, 2 a.m. These guys are farmers. They're up at 5 a.m. Text him. I'm a night owl. I text him late at night. But, he always responds. He's always on top of it. Just an excellent manager to work with. The county is very blessed and lucky to have you, Steve. And I've been proud and honored to work with you as a chairman this last year. We want to just give you a small token here to remember us by, because it's our photos that you're going to see. But I just want to say thank you very much for the last year. And then with that, we're going to move on to the moment that we've all been waiting for. And I would now ask for a motion That's correct, how we're doing it, right? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion, nominations for chairman of the board.
I'm the chair.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Mike Ziegemeyer for chair.
Okay, I have a motion from
I'll second the motion.
Supervisor Conant, and I have a second from Supervisor McKelly for Mike Ziegemeyer as chairman of the Board of Supervisors for Sutter County. A roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. We now have a chairman, Mr. Mike Ziegemeyer. Let's give him a hand. Do we vote on vice chair? Do we vote on vice chair? Or is that given? Oh, okay. Okay, yep, so we did the election of the chair, and Mike, come on up. I'm going to hereby hand off this gavel to you, and I will say that congratulations. I know you're going to do an amazing job, and we look forward to your leadership this year with Sutter County. So congratulations. Give him a round of applause.
Is it on?
Yes.
I'm pretty humbled and pretty honored right now. I have so many people to thank. First of all, I want to thank my family. I couldn't do this without the support of my wife and my family. And my oldest daughter's here. We have a 1-year-old, so my wife's with her 1-year-old, and my other two had some pretty important stuff in school today, and that's very important. So, it takes a lot of support from your family to be able to do this job and to want to do this job. And like I said, I'm very lucky to have their support. And now I want to thank my fellow board members and Supervisor McKelly, Supervisor Conant, Supervisor Flores, and Supervisor Baines. I work with a great group of guys here that are always there for you no matter what. I've been a supervisor now for 3 years, and it's just like being a football coach or a teacher or a doctor. You're always learning something every day, and you learn something from these guys every day. And it's just amazing. And our department heads are something else. The doors are always open. You need something, they're right there. And trust me, I think we're the type of board that will call them up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. You still up? To ask those questions. And we're very lucky that they answer. Our CAO, Steve Smith, we'll be texting him at 11 o'clock at night sometimes. You up, Steve? He knows. And same thing with, we'll ask county council the same thing. I'll see Nick at a volleyball match on a Sunday. Nick, I got a question for you. And the list goes on. Our Supervisor Larry Munger right here, retired, called Larry numerous times, asked him for questions. And we're very lucky to have this group. We got an amazing team here, outstanding team. Our clerk of the board here, Miss Donna, Miss Gita, Miss Stephanie, absolutely amazing right here. I couldn't do it without them. They keep us all on track. They really do. And from every little bit counts. Stephanie 3 years ago always asked her for a piece of gum, and here she is. She always puts a piece of gum at my desk every time. I would chew it right now, but I'm like, now I'm a chairman. I can't be doing that kind of stuff. So I'll watch it. But I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful for my past experiences as well, because I was sitting where you're all sitting 24 years ago. I was class of 99 here at Sutter High School. All right, class of 99. We didn't win the championships that you guys all won. I'm glad to be part of those down the road in coaching, but it's, I'm telling you, there's so much stuff. Your future's bright, and the sky's the limit. And it's just an honor being here with everyone here today. And like I said, I don't want to leave our public safety out, because from our sheriff's department to our fire department to our probation, all the work that they've done, especially through COVID, it was tough. It's really tough. I mean, we had some uncharted territories the last 2 years, just like all you in the school dealt with too, but we're making it work. and we're getting through this, and we are going to get through it. Last but not least, I want to talk about Supervisor Flores. I had actually, in the last few years, Dan was actually the outgoing chairman when I came on. So I was lucky. I learned a lot from him then as chair. And like I said, I've been picking his brain the last couple of weeks especially. And he's been saying, Mike, relax. Everything's going to be just fine. So thank you, Dan, for everything.
You bet.
But I want to thank everyone. And like I said, couldn't do it without you and the support of everyone here. I was at Disneyland 2 weeks ago with my family, first meeting I ever missed. And I was going to call in. These guys said, no, it's your first vacation in 2 years. Enjoy it with your family. So that was very nice. But other than that, it's like Supervisor Flores said, over 45 committees, over 45. That means we don't do this because, I should say we do this because we love the community. We want to see it better tomorrow. That's why we do this job, and that's why we continue to do it. But thank you for all being here. We really appreciate you all young folks coming out and watching them at these meetings and seeing how they work out. And I think we set a record for the largest meeting.
Good turnout.
So, yeah, good turnout.
You're going to have to keep it up, right?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for all coming.
Also,
And class of 97, yeah. And Harvard class of 92. Class of 92.
Yeah. Good job.
Test. Is this one on? All right. All right. With that being said, I'd like to present this plaque to Supervisor Flores with sincere appreciation for your commitment and dedication as chair of the Sutter County Board of Supervisors 2021. And if we could get a group picture. Thank you. Can you hear me loud enough with this? All right, with that being said, we'll move on to nominations for vice chair. Can I get a nomination?
Through the chair,
Yes,
I'd
Supervisor.
like to nominate Carm Baines for vice chair.
Through the chair, I'd like to second the nomination.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly,
Aye.
Supervisor Flores,
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer,
Aye.
Supervisor Baines,
Aye.
Supervisor Conant.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Would you like to?
If I could, through the chair.
Absolutely.
I just want to thank everyone up here. Well, first of all, congratulations, Chairman, and thank you all for your consideration. I truly feel honored and humbled to be given this opportunity, and I'll do you guys proud. There's a lot to look forward to in 2022, and again, the proud moment to be out here at Sutter High School. Three of our alma mater, our old stomping grounds, but teamwork makes a dream work, and I truly feel we have a great team up here. Really super excited about 2022. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, next up, we'll have our special presentation, and this will be going to the Sutter Union High School football team. The Sutter Board of Supervisors wishing to acknowledge the Sutter High School football team for an outstanding win in overtime to become the Northern Section Division III championship. Now, for all those that went to that game, that was probably the best high school football game I've ever seen. It was an outstanding game by two outstanding teams. And if we could have Mr. Robinson come on up.
What about teammates come up too?
And
Any players?
all the players, can we have Coach Reynolds and all the players come on up?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yep. All right, moving on to public comment. Madam Clerk, is there any speaker cards?
No, we do not have any.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
Through the chair,
Yes, Supervisor.
to make a motion to approve items 1 through 15.
Can I get a second?
A second that motion.
All right, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Moving on to public hearing. Ms. Johnson?
Good afternoon, congratulations. I'd like to request that this item be continued to the next regularly scheduled board meeting of February 8th, 2022 at 3 p.m. We are asking for an additional $2 fee for recordings, but we think that we can do this in a manner that will not increase the cost of recordings whatsoever.
Can I get a motion to
Make
move it?
a motion to move for a continuance.
A second.
Supervisor McKelly makes a motion, Supervisor Baines seconds. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to appearance items. Can I get our CAO?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. Steve Smith, County Administrator. The first item to consider will be what was just voted on to add to the agenda, which is entering into a lease for the property at 604 B Street, Suite A in Yuba City. A quick summary of this is our current public defender, Mark Vandenheuvel, is retiring this Friday after 19 years of service, and between he and his father, 57 years of service as the public defender for Sutter County. His office space would be an ideal property to lease while interim public defender Mike Sullinger takes over, while staff and human resources and CAO look at current salaries and recruitment procedures to follow. The lease is less than $1 per square foot. It's about 77 cents per square foot, so it's well under market, and we appreciate the quick movement on that by Mr. Vandenheuvel and his father, who own the building. The rent is month to month. County will also pay utilities, and the facility already has county fiber and PCs and records in the facility, so it would make sense, and my recommendation is that we enter into the lease.
All right, with that being said, can I get a motion to approve?
Through the
Now,
chair.
through the clerk. Is any discussion? Now, this, asking for a motion to approve.
That's
Through the
correct.
All right,
chair.
can I get a
Yes.
motion to approve?
We have,
Through the chair.
through the,
Oh, I'm sorry, we have discussion here.
or no, you said through the chair.
Through the, okay.
Move to approve.
Supervisor. All right,
Second.
so we have a motion from Supervisor Baines, a second from Supervisor Conant. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Next item up is 17, and we have Mr. Guadalupe Rivera.
Ask the clerk, ask the clerk to read it.
Madam Clerk, can you read it, please?
Approval of a construction contract with Twin Trees Incorporated, doing business as Twin Builders, in the amount of $245,595.11 for the 1160 Civic Center second floor tenant improvement project, project number C191800001. Authorization for the Director of Development Services to execute the contract. Authorization for the Director of Development Services to execute change orders in an amount not to exceed $24,550. An approval of an adjustment in the amount of $124,000 to the fiscal year 2021 adopted budget, C191800001, 1160 ADA Phase 2, and Fund 0016.
Any discussion?
Through the chair,
Yes, Supervisor.
move to approve.
Excuse me, Chairman, Mr. Hay is here to present the item.
Oh,
He'll finish the presentation.
okay.
Good afternoon, Chair Ziegemeier and Supervisors. Mr. Rivera's back at the office, so I'll be actually presenting all of our items this afternoon. So this first item is in regards to the project to essentially renovate the second floor of the 1160 Civic Center Boulevard office for the Treasurer, Tax Collector, and the Auditor Controller. So the staff report essentially contains some of the history of the project and the various means with which we've tried to contract. We're bringing before you a contract award recommendation for just under $246,000, and to execute and include that contract, we're recommending a budget amendment or an adjustment to the budget in the amount of $124,000. That amount would come from the development impact fees that the county has collected, and so it comes from that fund as opposed to the general fund, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I got a question for you, Neil. Now, when you talk about the 24,550, I noticed that is that just the possible change order for the 124,000, or is that for total?
So the 24,550 is essentially a 10% allowance of the contract amount, which essentially is essentially stipulated in the public contract code. And because your board would be authorizing myself as the Director of Development Services to execute the contract and the change orders, anything in excess of the 24,550 we'd bring before your board.
All right. Thank you. Any other discussion? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interject. Before you get a motion, please invite for public comment.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? Are there any?
We do not.
Okay. So we have a motion by Supervisor Conant and a second by Supervisor McKelly. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to number 18. Adoption of the resolution approving and adopting the groundwater sustainability plan for the Sutter Groundwater Basin.
Thank you. Once again, Neil Hay with Development Services. So we are bringing the resolution to essentially adopt our groundwater sustainability plan for the Sutter Subbasin. There are 3 subbasins in Sutter County: the Butte Subbasin, Sutter Subbasin, and the North American Subbasin. Sutter County administers the Sutter Subbasin, and so through our consultant Woodward and Curran, we have done public outreach comments and prepared the resolution and the plan, which has been available on the county's website for comment. And we are seeking your approval of that plan and the resolution in order that we can submit it by the state deadline of January 31st, 2022. The county partners with a number of agencies, including the Butte Water District, City of Live Oak, Sutter Extension Water District, and the Sutter Community Services District, the City of Yuba City, Reclamation District 70 and 1660, and Reclamation 1500. And they have essentially had meetings over about the last year and a half to review the plan, develop the plan, and then once the plan is submitted to the state DWR, it will move forward with implementation. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any public comment? Any public comment?
No.
All right. Any discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
Through the chair, second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Flores and a second by Supervisor Conant. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 19, authorization for the dedication of a portion of Pass Road in the memory of Christopher Stoudemire.
So yes, to present this item, so Mr. Stoudemire passed, unfortunately and unexpectedly, on December 22nd of 2021, and so this is a matter for your board to consider that a portion of Pass Road could be dedicated in his memory. And I can apologize for the misspelling of his last name that was included in the staff report. Should your board move forward with it, we would place the appropriate signage, one at each end of the segment of Pass Road that you so dedicate and allocate.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Before we move on, we're going to ask for a recess because we're going to have a class change here any moment now. So we'll take a 5 to 7 minute break. On with item number 19. And is there any public comment?
No, there is not.
Any discussion from the board? Yes, Neil has addressed it.
Oh, did he? 19?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Through the chair, I'm in favor of voting to approve this. However, I do wonder if maybe it might be a good idea for in the future to have staff create an ad hoc committee. That way there's a vetting process possibly before we start naming roads after people, as this might become something popular and continue. Just a thought. I don't know what the rest of your thoughts are on it, but.
Oh, thank you, Supervisor.
Through the chair, move to approve.
I'd like to make a comment as well before we move on.
Go ahead.
For those of you that knew Chris and the Stoudemire family knew what an amazing and awesome guy he was. I first met Chris when I was 19 years old, a new sales and parts guy there at Sweco Products, and I would wait on Chris and his family and his brothers. And I remember one of my fondest memories of Chris was, I think I was 22 at the time. We were loading up a set of disc blades in the back of his truck, 36-inch disc blades, and I lifted wrong, and he needed 6 stitches for his finger. And he never, ever gave me a hard time over that, ever. And I really respected that, and I felt bad. And down the road, we joked about it all the time. And then I coached his son here in football at Sutter High School, and Chris and the crew and George Peters and them would always barbecue and cook up the tri-tip for all the team dinners, and he continued to do that. And that's the type of guy that Chris was, helping out with from cooking with the ag department to the 4-H, being part of the dessert auctions, and just cooking all over the area and doing whatever was needed. Chris was there. And that road Pass Road is a road that he traveled up and down more than any of us could in our lifetime. He farmed on that road since he was a baby. His family's owned property on there since the end of time. And I think what better way to have a remembrance than that memorial sign remembering Christopher Stoudemire forever. And I do agree with Supervisor McKelly that we should look at putting together an ad hoc committee to vet individuals. This is something that, when's the last time something like this has been done, Mr. Hayes?
None that I'm aware of, actually.
None. So this is not something that, like I said, we bring lightly. This is something that Chris meant a lot to this community, and he passed way too young. He passed away in a vehicle accident last month, left behind his loving wife, Teresa, and son and daughter and grandkids, and he will be greatly missed. But with that being said,
Through the chair, I'll
Yes.
second the motion.
So we have a motion by Supervisor Conant and a second by Supervisor Flores. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Moving on to item number 20. Can you read it, please?
Award an independent contractor agreement to Wood Rogers in the amount of $400,643 for engineering and environmental services for temporary and permanent repairs to Pass Road between Bridge 18C-0111 and the western levee of the Sutter bypass. Waive the requirement for a request for proposals for consultant selection under the provisions of Sutter County Ordinance Code 16-050, and authorization for the Director of Development Services to execute and administer all contract documents.
Mr. Hayes?
Good afternoon at this point, almost. So this item, I realize, is of very significant concern for certainly members of District 3. So Pass Road, essentially just west of here, suffered some rather significant roadway damage in the storms of October, at the end of October. Since then, the county has met with consultants and had contact with the various reclamation district and the state agencies of the jurisdiction. So we're bringing before you a recommendation for a contract. It's a recommendation for, I'll say, a not to exceed amount. This is an engineering consultant that has been previously competitively selective on county projects. They're do engineering and environmental. On this contract, they are including a geotechnical sub-consultant as well. And what they are looking to do is essentially to develop what repairs may be needed for the roadway. Based on your decisions today, they have essentially already scheduled a ground penetrating radar vehicle for this Thursday to essentially go out and essentially survey the subsurface conditions of the roadway to figure out how deep the fissures are and the settlement are. And essentially, there's about a 400-foot long stretch of road-based material that's probably about 2 feet wide at least that has washed away, and subsequent storms continue to wash it away. So following this survey of the radar, we probably will be placing visqueen on the roadway to prevent any further deterioration from any storm events should they occur. But the radar survey does not require a state permit. Anything more substantial to go below grade will. The consultant that has been recommended, they are already scheduling meetings with the state agencies, the Central Valley Flood Protection Board, which ultimately would have to issue an encroachment permit. Similar to the county issuing an encroachment permit for somebody to work in our right-of-way, the state has to issue an encroachment permit for you to work within their floodplain. And they have conditions and requirements upon that. So the consultant has already reached out to them in an effort to schedule those type of meetings. So the recommendation for the contract amount would be funded from the county's road fund. We have funds allocated actually in this year's budget, and so at this time we're not seeking a budget amendment. These are just the costs for design and environmental services, and covers a very full range depending on interim or long-term. And it's hoped that we may not need to use all of the funds, and we would come back obviously before your board with updates, certainly following the ground survey report. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any public comment?
Through the chair. So Neil, this 400,000, let's just call it even. This is for the ground training radar plus possible boring if needed. So this is not to exceed, correct?
Right. So this includes engineering, geotechnical services, boring services. Should they determine that, for the worst case scenario is that the entire road and all of the fill that's there's approximately 10 to 15 feet of fill over that 400-foot length, that all that may need to be removed. And the state may require us then to rebuild that. So if that has to be done, then there's engineering documents that have to be put together, and those things are included. And then additionally, the state would require us to get environmental permits, probably through both state and federal regulatory agencies, because this is in a floodway. It's essentially a year-round water flow, and so that includes even oversight by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So the hope is that the radar survey is going to show that maybe there is a very narrow path of, I'll just say, damage that may be within the roadway, and there may be an opportunity just to excavate that out and put in better fill that would stand up to it, and then we could quickly renovate the roadway. And it's unclear as to whether or not we need a state permit for that work, but that's why the consultants are initiating the meeting.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Just one last comment. Let's get this thing repaired. Damn torpedoes, full steam ahead. There's a lot of people in this community that really need this roadway repaired.
Let's get her done.
Yeah, with that being said, Mr. Hayes, on the road repair and the money coming out of the road department, now, is there a strong possibility we can get reimbursed back from the state?
At this point, the governor would have to declare an emergency of those storms, which has not happened. And then additionally, my staff is in communication with essentially we had to submit damage estimates through Caltrans. Right now, there's an issue that through Caltrans and the federal government that they deem the road as not a federal aid road. So we want to have further conversations, and it goes into how roads are classified. In the federal system, Pass Road is deemed a local road. We're going to certainly have follow-up conversations with them to try to argue our point, but unless the governor declares an emergency for those storm events, they would not be eligible for federal reimbursement, and to this date, he has not.
It's just hard to believe. I mean, didn't they classify that as a 75-year storm? When, and weren't there other counties that actually were considered local state of emergencies?
Right, there are a number of agencies that submitted essentially damage estimates to the Caltrans District 3 office in Marysville of damage that they sustained during that event. And so every agency does their part to submit the claims, but unless the governor issues the proclamation essentially, then the reimbursements may or may not come.
All right, well, let's continue to lobby hard. All right.
Through the chair, I move approval of the recommended action.
I'll second the motion.
So a motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Baines. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
To the
Motion
chair.
carries.
To the chair.
Yes.
If I may, if the chair would like, you can direct staff, we can prepare a letter to the state, both Cal OES and the governor's office, just to advocate for that because of the severe nature of the storms last fall. We could prepare a letter for your signature that could go forward in the next
I would recommend
week.
it, but that would be, I mean, like I said, at the approval of my colleagues here.
Yeah.
All right, so yes. All right, thank you, CAO. All right, moving on to item number 21.
Approval to purchase equipment from the Gilsizer County Drainage District in an amount not to exceed $98,228. And approval of an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021 to 22 adopted budget in the same amount to account for the purchases in the Road Fund 3100.
Thank you. So this item pertains to the Gilsizer County Drainage District. The county road crew administers the maintenance to the Gilsizer district, and previously the Gilsizer district was a standalone district and had its own equipment. So when the county took over the district it transferred from the City of Yuba City Public Works Department, the staff went through the available equipment and determined what would be beneficial to keep and transfer as a county asset, and other items which would be beneficial to sell, and the proceeds would go to the Gilsizer district. So the department is recommending that you approve the purchase of this equipment from the Gilsizer district, and essentially the money, the $98,228, would go to the Gilsizer fund. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion? Can I get a motion?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Move to
Supervisor.
approve.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Conant, second by Supervisor McKelly. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Aye. Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 22.
So my final item pertains to the radar speed signs that you see throughout the county, primarily in school zones. So the county has essentially 14 locations where we have radar speed signs of varying age and varying technology. So in an effort to standardize and update all of the technology so that the displays show in those school zones, we're seeking your board's approval for a purchase of approximately $65,000 to replace all of the locations of the speed signs. Like I say, they're primarily at the various school zones within the county. Happy to answer any questions.
Any
Through the
discussion?
chair.
Yes, yes, Supervisor.
Do you think we get a few more in District 4?
Well, actually, I'd like to, Supervisor Baines, I think you're actually onto something here, and the reason why is because I would personally like to see a couple coming down South Butte Road, coming around the canal, right there. Matter of fact, I think it's almost in front of your property, Mr. Bunger, right there. We constantly have people putting their vehicles in the ditch. And it'd be nice to have some sort of flashing sign or something coming into Sutter there, and then vice versa on the other side, coming before the corner on South Butte to get to Humphrey Road. And then when you talk about the school districts and so forth, you have like your Franklin school districts, your Robbins, your Winships, your Franklins and so forth. It's imperative because you have so many vehicles traveling at a high speed, at a high rate of speed, that anything we can do to say, hey, slow it down, you got a stop sign coming up, or that speed limit sign. Now it goes back to the speed limit sign. No one wants to have that speed limit sign in their front yard going off. I think it works. I think it's really slowed down a number of people right there on Acacia Avenue. We need to do a little more. I'm grateful that we put the lit up crosswalk with the Little League Park going to the high school. But yes, like I said, I personally agree with the 14, but I think there's room for more. I'd like to see maybe if the supervisors here could let Supervisor Conant and I know so we could bring forth towards the next Public Works Committee and then get it on the agenda.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Move approval.
Second.
So we have a motion by Supervisor Flores and a second by Supervisor Baines.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Aye. Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to item number 23.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. Gina Rowland, Human Resources Director. The first item is a request for the board to reinstate the maximum vacation accrual limit for county employees. So in March 2020, shortly after the government shut down due to COVID, the Board of Supervisors affirmed a number of actions that were taken by the county administrative officer to address the impacts of COVID. One of those was suspending the maximum accrual of vacation leave until 6 months after the emergency declaration ended. Well, so the cap being lifted was intended to end at the conclusion of the emergency declaration, but none of us anticipated that COVID would carry on this long. So to date, we have about 68 employees who have accrued vacation above the maximum limit in the total amount of about 4,307 hours, which is equivalent to 2 years of paid time off, or approximately $220,285 in unfunded liability. So continuing the suspension of the maximum vacation accrual limit indefinitely is not fiscally viable for the county. Therefore, it's recommended that the board reinstate the 320-hour maximum vacational accrual limit for all employees effective August 27th. Between now and August 27th, over the next 7 months, employees would continue to accrue vacation, but on August 27th, the cap would be reinstated, and if they were still over the balance at that time, they would cease to accrue vacation. So between now and August, we'll encourage employees to take the time off, but also offer the option for them to convert some of those hours into deferred comp. And with approval of the CAO, should you grant that, should you delegate that authority to him, he could approve payoff for those departments who have the budget. We're continuing to meet and confer with the bargaining units over the impact of this, and we'll have agreement with them before we implement. Let's see. The cost to pay out the excess vacation balances for the employees in the Sheriff's Department is estimated to be $63,949. And for employees at the Acute Psychiatric Services Branch in Health and Human Services, it's estimated to be about $14,405. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any public comment?
No.
Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, I'll open up for a motion.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Move to
Supervisor.
approve.
Second.
So we have a motion by Supervisor Conant and a tie by, well, second by Supervisor McKelly.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 24.
Okay, so this item is recommending that the board approve and authorize the chairman to sign a new MOU with the Sutter County Professional Firefighters Association for the period of January 1, 2020 through June 30, 2023. So the existing agreement, or the prior agreement, between the county and the Sutter County Professional Firefighters Association expired on December 31st, 2019. So we've been negotiating with them since that time and reached tentative agreement in December of 2021. The employees voted to ratify the agreement on December 22nd, and that is the item now that's before the board. So the agreement includes provisions for salary and benefit increases that are consistent with what was negotiated with other bargaining units. It includes an approximate 5% base wage increase for fire engineer, effective the second pay period following board approval, an approximate 5% base wage increase for fire captain to address any salary compaction between them and the engineers that they supervise. 5% one-time non-pensionable essential worker lump sum payments, and it also includes a provision to add longevity pay. It includes the same health insurance changes that were negotiated with other bargaining units. So the total cost of the 3-year agreement is estimated to be $629,328 for the entire 3-year agreement. That does not include the essential worker lump sum payments, which will be paid for out of ARPA funds. So all salary and benefit expenses in this bargaining unit are paid through County Service Area F, and since the cost of the negotiated raises exceed the limits of the staffing of the SAFER grant, the increase in cost would be borne by CSAF revenues. It's likely the district will have to rely on the county general fund in order to cover the cost of this agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any public comment?
No.
We'll bring it back to the board for discussion.
Through the chair,
Yes.
move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Baines and a second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 25. CAO Smith, which will be...
Good morning,
Leanne.
Chair Ziegenmeier, members of the board. Leanne Link, Assistant County Administrator. The item before you today is for the purchase of a Type 1 fire engine for County Service Area F. The recommended actions include waiving the competitive procurement requirements to allow us to purchase quickly, authorizing the purchase, including authorizing the chair to sign the purchase agreement, authorizing a budget transfer in the amount of $630,000 from the general fund to CSAF to fund the purchase, and authorizing the auditor controller to issue prepayment in the amount of $602,608.32. That's the cost of the engine. The total budget adjustment is a little bit higher than that to allow for specialized equipment to be put on before the vehicle is placed in service. This fire engine will not be delivered for about 15 to 18 months, but we, by prepaying, we save about $21,000 and also avoid a 8 to 12% cost increase that we've already been informed of. The county fire chief was able to secure this competitive price ahead of the rate increase, which is expected for February 1st, so time is of the essence here, which is why we're asking for the prepayment authorization. Our county fire chief, John Shalowitz, is here to answer any technical questions on this, and I'd be happy to answer any financial ones.
Thank you. Any public comment?
No.
All right. I think
All right, Chief Shalowitz. Open it up for discussion. Any questions for the chief?
Through the chair.
Yes.
No questions. I'm just proud we're able to purchase this much needed fire engine, and that's the only question. I just want to make that comment. So.
Through the chair,
Yes, Supervisor Flores. I'm sorry, I'm Supervisor Baines.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
All right, well, with that being said,
I'd
I'll
just like to make a comment. I think it's a great, it looks like a beautiful fire truck, Chief. My only concern is that, and I think it's well needed and important that we use these county resources for this, but it is a fiscal impact to the general fund. As previous motion was for item 24, we need to do this, but we need to figure out a long-term solution. I know we're working on it as a county, but I just want to remind the public and the citizens of Sutter County, we need to figure out a solution to our funding for our fire departments, for our rural community, and we're working on that. So that was my comment. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion by Supervisor Baines and a second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Aye. Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye, and I want to say I agree with Supervisor Conan and Supervisor Flores. Yes.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 26.
Good morning again. With a rapid increase in COVID-19 cases in our community, particularly due to the Omicron variant, the ability to rapidly test for infection has become a crucial tool for us. Increasingly, the rapid antigen tests have been difficult to procure. The county was able to purchase 2,320 test kits, which is 4,640 tests, at a cost of $65,000. So the county administrator approved that purchase, subject to ratification by the Board of Supervisors. The cost is supported by federal epidemiology and laboratory capacity, or ELC, grant funding that's passed through to Sutter County from the state. In addition, the requested action will allow for additional expedited purchases up to $150,000 through the end of the current fiscal year using American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds, and this cost is an authorized cost under ARPA. These tests will be distributed in the community, which allows individuals to obtain free tests instead of having to buy them. And if you have to purchase the tests, they can be very expensive right now. The county will retain some tests to ensure continuation of vital county services for our own employees, especially including those in the 24/7 operations, the jail, the psychiatric health facility, and psychiatric emergency services. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any public comment?
No.
Open up for discussion, yes.
Recommend approval of the recommended action.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Baines, and with that, I got a question for you. What's the chances, I know we're going to get paid back through ARP funding and so forth, but with the government, is there other outlets where we could get testing without actually having to spend the ARP money?
I know that the federal government has allowed for individuals to get up to 2 tests free.
I myself took advantage of that. I ordered some, and I ordered them last week, and they actually showed up at my doorstep yesterday.
Oh, very good.
So
And I believe it's 4 per household is the maximum. We don't know of any others right now, but certainly staff tries to get free tests first, and that's always their first choice. And then beyond that, we need to have that flexibility so that we can purchase them quickly.
Oh, I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree. We got to have the tests, and you know, with all of us, we have personal companies. Well, we send people out and about to try to find every test we possibly can. They're just not out there. All right, so with that, we have a first and a second, and roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 27.
Approval of a First Amendment to Professional Services Agreement with the Lou Edwards Group for Consultant Services, modifying the scope of services, extending the term to November 30th, 2022, and increasing compensation not to exceed $97,500.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. As stated, this would be for an amendment to the professional services agreement with the Lou Edwards Group. Staff entered into an agreement, but thus far we've spent just over $40,000 over the past about 2 years, though if we think we're going to approach $50,000, we need board approval. The Lou Edwards Group has provided polling recommendations and community outreach strategy, outreach planning, media strategy, and they also advise on ballot measures if that were to be a potential future option for the county. However, this would also be beneficial for upcoming strategic planning and developing the county's goals and budgeting, as the outreach that they advise on is helping staff and, of course, ultimately the board to understand the priorities as we hear them directly from the community. So I would recommend that the board approve this agreement as stated in an amount not to exceed $97,500 through the end of November 30th of this year.
Through the chair.
Yes, Supervisor.
Is there any public comment first, and then I'll make a motion?
No, we do not have any.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 27.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Conant, second by Supervisor McKelly. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 28.
Approval of a letter authorizing the Regional Waste Management Authority to apply for CalRecycle SB 1383 grants on behalf of the County of Sutter, and authorization for the county administrator to approve future similar actions for RWMA.
Okay, thank you. So at our last meeting of the Board of Supervisors, this item was considered and the board had asked for additional information. So we have representatives today from RWMA, Regional Waste Management Authority, Keith Martin, and also we have representatives, I believe, in the audience from Recology. I see Brittany back there. And so what I thought might be of use is for Keith to give a summary of this, because we did receive public comment against, I think, in essence, against SB 1383, which is a law that was passed in 2016. This item itself is a grant to help the region implement this, of which Sutter County would receive only about 10%, because we're one of the smaller jurisdictions when it comes to garbage service, Yuba County and Yuba City being much larger. So if Keith, maybe you could advise on this, and then obviously we'll open it up for questions and public comment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Oh, don't touch that. My name is Keith Martin. I'm the executive director, actually administrator. We're hiring an executive director. I'm the administrator for the Regional Waste Management Authority. This item is regarding the funding that's been made available. It's a one-time only funds for a 2-year implementation period to assist local jurisdictions in the implementation of SB 1383 related activities. In this local area, it will be used primarily for staff support time for the authority. The authority, which is funded primarily through surcharges on the garbage rates for residential commercial rates. This will allow those funds to be stretched further. It's a total of, right now, the numbers here in your staff report were preliminary numbers. The number right now is at about $267,000 available to the region, of which about $29,000 is available from the Sutter County allocation, about 10 or 11% of that total. This is part of the regional program. All 5 other jurisdictions have already signed letters of support authorizing this application. Applications are due February 1st. The letters of support are due by March 1st to the state to remain eligible. If the board chooses not to authorize this resolution or the authorization for this funding, that portion of the funds would not come to the region, and it would leave the region short that amount of money on the total available to us. That's a minimum number, by the way. It's based upon how many actually apply for these funds or who are eligible to apply for the funds. These 6 jurisdictions we do anticipate them being eligible, and we intend to pursue the full allocation. But when it's all said and done and the dust clears, the amount of money that's available will be based upon how many actually applied for the funds, and the other funds will be reallocated around the state. We expect a lot of jurisdictions are not going to be eligible. Others ones will choose not to apply. The minimum amount, as staff mentioned, was $20,000 per jurisdiction, and Sutter County would have been eligible for that, but now the numbers have been moved up to that $28,000 figure. So with that, the lack of the funds doesn't take away the requirement to implement the measure 1383. So it doesn't change the obligation of the jurisdictions or of the region. It just means that those activities will be funded out of local funds as opposed to the state funds. Any questions you might have?
Any public comment?
No.
Bring it back to the board for discussion.
Through the chair. Just so I'm making sure I'm understanding this, if we were to decline, would it still be available for the base amount of the $20,000?
You would be if you wanted to go pursue it on your own.
Right.
But in this case, if you decline it, there's no one else. We won't be eligible for those funds.
Okay, and the $29,000 you say is a minimum. It could go up from there, possibly.
It will absolutely go up.
Okay, thank you.
To the chair.
Yes.
So I serve on the RWMA board, and there's a reason why we postponed this, or we tabled this issue for this, to bring back before the board. Looking at all the questions or concerns that the constituents or members of our community had, those items were addressed at our last board meeting. Being in the position that we are in, understanding our fiduciary duties and being stewards of our general funds, that I'm not about to make a decision or that's going to penalize or take from our general funds. There's a potential we could be fined $10,000 a day, $3.6 million a year if we do not follow suit. Right now, we're the only jurisdiction that has not provided this letter, so Keith and his group can move forward. Having said that, I'd like to make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, so is there any further discussion? So we have a motion by Supervisor Baines and a second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 29, follow-up reports and announcements.
I have nothing further at this time, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 30.
Item number 30 is a correspondence item. Receive the monthly Sutter County Code Enforcement Activity Report through December 2021.
All right. All right. Then we're going to move on to district reports. And that was one of my favorite things that Supervisor Flores brought on. So we'll start out with district reports, and then we'll move on to sympathy. And we'll start out on the left side here.
Just two things to report on. January 20th, last Thursday, I was appointed to Vice Chair of the Lunar Committee for SACOG. And also, the same day in the evening, I was appointed to the Vice Chair position on our RWMA board, the Regional Waste Management Authority Board. I just want to report that so you'll be well represented on those two boards.
Thank you, Supervisor. Oh. All right, Supervisor Flores.
Two things as well. First, I'd like to recognize Supervisor Larry Munger, who's here with us today. I had the honor of serving with him for several years, and it's great to see you, Larry. Thank you for joining us at the meeting today. Thank you. And second, I'd like to say that Holiday Inn Express is broken ground in the 2nd District, and it looks like it's going to be built pretty quickly here. So watch for a new Holiday Inn Express over on Bridge Street in Shasta, downtown Yuba City.
All right, Supervisor Conant.
Just a couple things. I'd like to talk briefly about, so one of my roles is I serve on the SAFCA board, the Sacramento Flood Authority. And SAFCA has been very active in doing levee repairs in the Thomas Basin. They've also been responsible for the raise of the Folsom Dam, the weirs, the spillways, the alternate spillways, and the wing dams. They're in the process of rebuilding the last couple of those. But more interesting to us is they're in the process of trying to widen the Sacramento Weir and the Sacramento bypass. 1,500 feet widening of the bypass and the weir. This is a multi-year task project that's moving forward. They're still in the study phases, but it's estimated that it will lower the water in the Yuba City side at approximately 2 feet during a major flood event. That is huge for us. That is critical. And I can't thank enough for them for their work on this project. It will help the entire region. So that's the one thing I wanted to bring up. And everything's going good in District 5. And we will see you guys later. Thank you.
Yep. Supervisor McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been had a busy couple days, so I'm kind of slacking on my district report, but I will say that, well, I just want to say thank you to Supervisor Flores for a good year on my first year in office, and appreciate all your help and guidance along the way in a good year, and want to say congratulations to you, Supervisor Ziegemeier. I'm looking forward to a good year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say that things are moving along here in Sutter. Let's see, we got basketball going on right now. Great teams. Excited for baseball to start up. This Saturday is the crab feed for the Sutter High School baseball team, so hopefully we see a lot of you there. Should be exciting. It's like I said, it's really exciting. From seeing some of these reports that we're privy to, it looks like we're starting to come down. So hopefully we'll continue the trend. And those of you that have received that Omicron variant, I've talked with my doctor and so forth, they say it's not as hard on you. So hopefully the Lord works in mysterious ways and we get through this. One thing I'd like to see put on our agenda with the approval of our board here is I'd like to have a meeting as soon as possible to Senator Pan of Sacramento has put forth a bill to take away parent choice in the vaccine. I think that is very important, very imperative that we put forth our concern and fight for the parent choice on that vaccine. We have Assemblymember Gallagher has always already put forth a letter in vowing to fight it. But like I said, Senator Pan has put forth a bill to take out the parent choice on the vaccine. So like I said, I'd like to see if we could somehow put together even if it's on a Zoom meeting or so forth, to get that out. I think that's very important. Other than that, I'd like to move on to our sympathy, close in memory of. Start over on the left side here.
Sorry, through the chair. Not sympathy, but a letter welcoming or some type of recognition to Dr. V. Paul from PAU University, a soil scientist, world-renowned soil scientist that's doing research at UC Davis. He's going to be passing through Sutter County on February 5th. I think next week he'll be visiting with our ag department, local PCAs and members of the community, the agricultural community. So just want to drop something recognizing his visitation or his visit here and welcoming him. Thank you.
I've got no further comments. Thank you.
No, I just, last meeting I missed, and like I said, I'd like to say their names out again in remembrance. That was Chris Stoudemire and Paul Schultes. You know, we lost a couple great people here in the last few months, last month here in Sutter County, especially here in Sutter, going to be greatly missed. But move over here to Supervisor Coder.
Yes, good afternoon. I have three. First, I'd like to close in memory of Joseph Scott Henderson. He passed a week ago today, January 18th. Joe passed away peaceful at home in Oxford, Alabama. Joe was born on February 12, 1980 to Sidney and Susan Henderson of Yuba City. Grew up in Rio, so he attended Brown's Elementary School, East Nicholas High School, and went on to CSU Sacramento, where he earned a degree in business. Joe grew up as an outstanding athlete, enjoyed sports. His best thing he really loved was baseball. At age 14, Joe suffered an aggressive infection, which led him to receive an artificial heart valve, and upon doing that, he received a massive stroke. He spent months in the hospital, even longer in therapy, learned how to speak and walk again, and the right half of his body was never the same. Joe couldn't really shake her hand. We'd all reach out, not thinking that he couldn't use his right hand, so he'd always grab the other one over and give you a nice shake. But he had a beekeeping business, a truck driving business. He was elected to the city council of Wheatland and was the mayor of Wheatland and ran for Yuba County Supervisors. The great joy of his life was being a father to his son, Joseph Wayne Henderson. And the last year of his life, he left California and raised his son with his wife, significant other in Alabama. He was a great guy. He also served as the 1001 Reclamation Board manager for several years, did an outstanding job with that. Joe was just a great guy, and he could talk to people. He could make any tense situation easier. My next one is Marjorie Kesterson. She passed away peaceful in Wheatland on January 9th. She was 89 years old. She was survived by her husband Ken and 8 children and 21 grandchildren. She worked in Wheatland School District and as an educator for 21 years. She loved family and friends. Her service was last week. She was a great person and a great friend to the community. My next is Albert Leonard. Albert, 89, of Nicholas, died at his home on Saturday, January 15th. He was more than 75 years old years in this area, and he suffered from Parkinson's. He was met his wife Shirley at an Oktoberfest in 1969. They built their home on a farm and raised 2 children, Julie and Jeff. He has services this Saturday, 1 o'clock at St. Boniface Church in Nicholas, followed by a reception at 2121 Ranch at 3 o'clock. He was a great guy, make a great gin fizz. So we will miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. All right, can I get a motion, please? Make a motion. A second?
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Conant. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Aye. Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.